all see my screen?
Yeah, we can.
Colourful giraffe. Okay, so I've already introduced myself, but what I really wanted to be able to do is explain to you how Pinterest, has the screen changed for you? Just checking. Good. Why it is so important for business. I think that what I wanted to explain was that we really firmly believe that Pinterest has a place for all businesses. I would say that the only business type that cannot succeed is a bricks and mortar business. So for example, my husband is a builder. I would never tell him to be on Pinterest because his clientele are local. So he does really well on Facebook. Because he can connect with people and in different groups locally and be recommended. Pinterest is somewhere that he might go for ideas, and he does, which not many men are on Pinterest. So it's good to see that they are using it. But first of all, who is using Pinterest and why use it? So there's no specific UK usage data at the moment. They're working on that at the moment. But at the moment, 75% of its 51 million new signups are outside of America and mostly across Europe. The channel is far more popular with women, which I don't think will surprise any of us as being in education for all these years. I certainly know that females are far more visual learners. We would much prefer to look and absorb information via visuals rather than through the written word. And Pinterest is there to answer problems. So essentially what you have to do is you've got to remove everything that you know about social media, because Pinterest is not another social media platform. And, you know, I'm going to completely shoot myself in the foot here because Katie and I manage and deal in social media on a daily basis, but it's quite a negative place. And it can be really hard work. And I know many people running their own businesses actually find managing their own social media a real challenge because you're kind of too close to it. And it can be really, really difficult to be out there and very proud of your products without feeling that you're shouting too loudly about yourself. Pinterest is entirely the opposite. Because Pinterest is a search engine, it is not a social media platform. It means that people go there to find answers to problems, for inspiration, and therefore they're looking directly for products. Therefore, they don't mind if all you do is talk about yourself. That's all you want to do. So when you think that on Pinterest, I've got an awful lot of stats here, so I'm going to keep this screen up, okay? Pinterest is the third largest search engine. And that's after Google and YouTube. So that is how much it is used on a daily basis. So they have just topped 300 million users on a daily basis. And they announced yesterday, as the top left-hand corner, 416 million, they believe, has peaked at this stage of coronavirus. And that's because people are using it as a source of information. So Pinterest, or pinners, as we describe Pinterest users, come to Pinterest to search for solutions to problems. This might be to look for a particular gift, for example, a pair of shoes or interior design inspiration, but equally, they will be looking for advice and guidance to problems. So Pinterest is the place to build website traffic. Originally, back about 10 years ago, Pinterest started, and it was very much a blogger's platform. Because it drives traffic so well, what happens is that it was driving through to blog sites, and then people were collecting emails on email lists, and then it picked up with oh, we can sell. Actually, you then get your captive audience. So looking at these statistics, when you look through them, it's fairly mind-boggling, actually, how much business Pinterest can leverage for the smallest of niches. So let's pick out some of them. Sorry, I'm looking at two screens here. So we've got 75% of searches on Pinterest are unbranded. And I think for all of you, that's really important. None of the clients Katie and I represent at the moment are big brands, but they are doing exceptionally well on Pinterest because you automatically have a warm audience. So you go there as a pinner. So any of you who have a Pinterest account, go to look for something. So let's use this as an example, because one of my clients at the moment sells the most beautiful candles. So I type in candles to Pinterest and I will get served hundreds of images, but those images are not from big brands. Unlike Google, where I will get served the White Company, Yankee Candle Company, John Lewis, etc. I go on Pinterest and I do not get served them because it's a level playing field. It's all about your SEO, therefore your keywords of what you put behind the scenes in Pinterest. So for the example that I had written here as well is if you put in white trainers, if you're looking for white trainers, you will not get served pictures of Nike trainers. You will genuinely just get served pictures of white trainers. Now, yes, that might be Nikes, but it's unbranded searches. And also 84% of pinners on Pinterest decide what to buy on Pinterest, with 83% then of them purchasing something that they have seen. That's really big. Now, when we talk about audiences, within social media and Google and YouTube and Pinterest, all of your audiences, apart from Pinterest, are cold. You have your warm audience, those that are followers for you on social media, but those of you on Pinterest will know that your audience is already warm because they're typing in that search word. So for example, those of you that are leading transformational programs for women and holistic therapies, if we know, particularly, I know that the dreaded C word sits over us all heavily, and bizarrely, I'm actually in Cornwall and it's rife here. I've got neighbours on both my sides with coronavirus. You know, it's a very, very fearful time. Half my children's schools have locked down again. So most people are online looking for advice and guidance and reassurance. Therefore, they may type in top 10 or best well-being products, guidance to deal with anxiety, etc. And they're going to get served all these images that could be your images that then click them through to your website to potentially download a resource and put their email address in. So it opens your market up to a global market and enables you to be able to build a wider email list. Who said, particularly with coronavirus, that our customers need to be within our geographical location? They can be countrywide. 2 of our clients at the moment are just based in the UK and only want to stay there. That's fine. They're doing very well. We've got clients in Australia who are predominantly wanting to sell to the US, and that works well. So you can open up your selling capability. I get sidelined. Sorry, I probably covered half my presentation without moving a slide on. Oh, have I gone back? No, I haven't. So let me explain for those of you that aren't sure about Pinterest. Or only use it on a personal basis. Essentially, it is set up with pins and boards. Okay, so your pins are specific images that promote an idea or a product, and they link back to a source. Now, 9 times out of 10, that source will be your website and a product, or a blog, or information page, or opportunity to sign up for something. However, it works really well also linking back to your Instagram account. Therefore, it helps you raise your followers of people that would be interested in you. It can also link really well to a private Facebook group if you want to warm up an audience. So you don't have to have an all singing, all dancing website to do this. You could just have one landing page for a specific product or idea or theme that you are wanting to promote. When pinners then have their pins and they see them, they will pin them to a virtual pin board, as you will as well. So you have a Pinterest board. So these are all my crazy ideas lots and lots and lots of post-its. And the beauty of Pinterest is that you then organize them, and you organize them in such a way that you can actually see the wood for the trees. So as a business owner, you would have specific boards with specific pins around a theme. So for example, you could have a board about well-being products, and all of your pins within that board relate to well-being products and all link to products that you have. And the beauty of this is, unlike social media, your pins last indefinitely. So every time you pin to Pinterest, it doesn't really matter what time of day you pin, as long as you consistently do it, because it can take up to 3 or 4 months for that pin to gain any interest. And it can still be then working for you. And what I mean by working for you is bringing traffic where you want to bring it from your already warm audience. They are already looking for the answers. You're giving them the answers, therefore they're interested. They're already there waiting for you. So therefore the journey of your audience, of your customer, are searching for something, being given something, and then you're leading them potentially down your sales funnel to be somebody who is engaged with the products that you have and provide. So the idea of the pinners being able to prepare boards themselves as well as you as a business enables them to collect ideas. So for example, I could have been on Pinterest this morning collecting ideas about well-being products. And, you know, I'm not going to lie, being in lockdown with 2 teenage girls, I'm sure lots of you can relate, was not a pleasant experience. And being told yesterday that they're home for another 3 weeks was not the best news I had on a Monday. And one of the first things that I certainly did on the previous lockdown was I searched for things on Pinterest to support my teenagers, because actually them being away from the peer group isn't very healthy, and they are really struggling with it. They didn't for the first month, they thought it was heaven, and then the reality hit. And I am looking for things and putting them onto my own boards for me to go back to. So I might not have purchased anything at that time, but I'm going back to that board now going, oh, that was fantastic. Do you know, I'm going to buy that product. I'm going to buy those downloads for my children. I'm going to sign them up to take part in that group because I think it'd be really good for them. So what you're doing is you're warming your audience all the time. So on this slide, you can see pin traction can take up to 16 weeks. That is so different if you think that a tweet lasts no more than 7 minutes. So you put effort into resourcing your tweets and then doing how many a day, and 7 minutes later, it's gone. That's it. No one's going to see it again. No one's going to search for it. Your typo doesn't matter. No one cares if you put a full stop in the right place or not. Instagram has a little bit more traction. I think the best analogy that I can give you is if Google and Instagram had a baby, it would be Pinterest. So you have the amazing capabilities of a search engine, of somebody searching there to solve their problems, to the beautiful aesthetics that you can use on a pins. But all pins have a call to action. They're all trying to get you to do something. You can plan ahead on Pinterest. So a month ago, all Katie and I were doing for what felt like weeks on end was planning Christmas for our clients. So all of our Christmas is already published. It's all there because it's building up the traffic and the traction. And as I've said loads of times, it is completely unbranded. Therefore, anybody can succeed on Pinterest, which I think for all of us as small businesses is huge. Now, the most attractive part of Pinterest is the advertising capability behind it. Once you have a customer base and engaged audience, which builds very, very quickly on Pinterest, you can then advertise, and it is an entirely different ball game to Facebook and Instagram advertising. First of all, your audience is already warm. Your ads only get served to people that are already interested in what you have and what you do. Therefore, it's an enhancer, not an interrupter. So one of the analogies I heard Katie give last week was brilliant. She was on Google searching for a new bra. And that evening, she was on Facebook scrolling through, chatting to friends, and suddenly she gets interrupted by all these bra adverts everywhere. And she doesn't want to buy a bra now. She was looking this morning, but she's being interrupted by them all. So what does she do? She swipes over them. She doesn't stop and look, because actually now is not the time. She's not looking now. She doesn't want to see them. So they interrupt your train of thought. Whereas Pinterest, you are already searching for something like bras. Therefore, you're being served those images, and it doesn't have ad, it doesn't have sponsored on it. It's just there. Therefore, they don't know that you've put some ad spend behind it. And it's exceptionally cheap to run an advertising campaign on Pinterest. And it's very easy for a very small company to become very, very popular. So as a case and example, we represent a very, very small interiors company, and we set up an account for them. And in their first month, they had 580 hits through to their website. And that was just by us pinning and looking at where their audience might be and investigating keywords. So the SEO behind it, optimizing an account. And of course, if you then put a couple of £100 ad spend behind that to encourage people to actually purchase. But for our client at that time, purchasing wasn't the issue. They want an email list. They want a list of people to nurture and to warm up. Okay. And that's what we can all do with using Pinterest, is nurture our clients. So if you have a business account, so those of you that are already on a personal account, you can very easily transfer that to a business account by literally a click of a button. But being on a business account is very different to a personal account, because it gives you really clear analytics. Who is clicking on your pins, when, why, how, what do they do when they click on them? Do they just look at them? Do they save them? Do they go through to your website? It gives you really clear idea of who your audience is. You might think your audience is one thing, but Pinterest might tell you something else. It's like a whole nother level to Google Analytics. You get rich pins. Therefore, it pulls information for you from your website. So therefore, if you have specific products that you are wanting to sell, or a membership which has a price behind it, it will pull that information in the algorithm, so you don't have to type it all in. And that's done by the URL links back to your website. You can promote pins, that's the advertising. But also, if you are product based, you can upload catalogs and have buyable pins. So it's one click shopping. And for those of you that may use Shopify or have Etsy, etc., and are selling any products on that, it is outstandingly good at driving your traffic, and it organically is free. So if you are on Facebook's become quite slow of growing organically. You know, I think everyone gets very tempted by boosting a post, and you get really excited because suddenly you get lots of traction. But as soon as that boost goes and you've paid, it's gone and it goes flat again. The difference of Pinterest is that when you build an ad campaign, which is not as complicated as Facebook and Instagram ads, that pin that you've put money behind, that ad campaign never goes. It's always there. You might not be paying for it to show up at the top of somebody's feed, but it's always there when somebody searches. It doesn't vanish like on Facebook and Instagram. So every bit of investment of time and money and energy that you put into Pinterest lasts. And my advice would be to any of you who are interested in exploring it, is that you get on there and you get yourself a business account and you start playing around with the features and looking what other people do in your niche. So typing in, making a list of 5 key words around your niche and searching for those. And it's very like Google, in that if you type in women in business, for example, you then get a whole list of other search terms that fall within that niche, and you can filter and filter and filter. So you can see what other people are doing in your niche, and you can click through to their websites and see if you resonate with them. And that's the best step of getting started as a business on Pinterest is your audience there? Can you find like-minded people on it there? Also, the beauty of it, and I am then going to finish with some questions, is that you do not need to be on there communicating. You don't have to be commenting all the time and engaging. Now, I appreciate that networking is lovely and we all love connecting with each other, but social media can be exhausting, really exhausting. And, you know, the irony that I've moved from being at the fighting edge with parents to then actually I'm just behind the screen doing it instead has not been lost on me. But 90% of Pinterest users use it because of the positive community that it gives. There is no nastiness. You can be out and loud and proud about your business 24/7. No one cares, because it's a totally different market. You will not receive nasty comments. You will only receive positivity. People only explore your pins if they're interested. So they're not going to go there if they're not interested. And your audience on Pinterest is automatically warm. And that's really important that you remember. Every bit of work that you do, they're already looking for you. So 50% of it is done. And that is so exciting for small niche businesses. Of course, there is a sell of this from Katie and I, that we do run a Pinterest for Business online course, and we do run an online ads course as well. But what I would suggest, that if it is something that you're interested, that you reach out to Katie and I and talk to us so that we can check that it really is appropriate for your business, and we can talk through how you can get started with it. But your key takeaways from today is 5 keywords, write them down, write down your words that you feel represent your niche, your business niche. Go into Pinterest and search them and see what comes back. And you will know then whether that is something that you want to explore further and be part of. I'm going to draw breath.
Philippa, that was fabulous. Thank you so much. There's lots of thumbs up and clapping going on. And I'm sure that's a lot to do with the lovely way you present. So I wish you'd been my headmistress. That's all I can say.
Oh, I wasn't nice at school.
Oh, well, that's a bit like
my children are so happy I'm not there anymore.
No, that was really fabulous. And because I can multitask, while you were talking, I was listening, writing, and I've just done a pin on the goal challenge. And it's, as you say, I mean, a few members will know my aversion to Facebook, but I'm forced to be on there quite rightly for the business. But it just looks lovely. It makes you feel better already. So really.
Is it me or is Jill frozen?
I think Jill's frozen.
She's frozen.
Yeah, she
Okay.
has.
Oh, isn't she?
Got overexcited and overheated.
Talk amongst ourselves.
What happened then?
I've no idea.
It says my internet connection is unstable and I'm wired directly into it, so that something is spookily happening. Shall I try that again, ladies? Does anybody have any questions? Yes, Nicola, would you like to unmute yourself and ask a question while I say a quick hello to Judith and Joe? You're very welcome, guys. Carry on, Nicola.
Sure. Hi, Philippa. Thanks so much for that presentation. So Pinterest is something I've looked at, but for some reason there's a disconnect between me and the platform. I've used it, but my question is, how do you communicate with those warm leads? can you like create like a group message? Can you send those people a message? Do you know, like I mean, like you would on maybe a Facebook group or something like that? So that would be my question.
And listening, Nicola, to your introduction at the beginning of today about your business, you would be very, very well placed to use Pinterest for business. One of our students at the moment on the ads course, client, has a vegan plastic-free business, and they're doing exceptionally well at the moment. It is a product-based business, which helps. But essentially what you will want to do is you build up boards within your business account that answer problems. So, you know, only meeting you very briefly, you were saying that you've got solutions for kitchens, for house, you know, different elements of your house and keeping it clean and organized in a chemical-free way. Well, therefore, you're going to have a board of chemical-free cleaning. And you are going to create pins. And think of a pin, it doesn't have to be a product, it can be 5 top tips to being chemical free. It can be one blog that you have written, and blog writing does do really well. So any of you that are like, oh, I should really do that, please do it. But you know, it's been on my list for about 6 months and I've only done one, so I'm a fine one to talk. But if you can get your audience then to like those pins, when they come back and they go into their home feed, they will see your pins again and again. Every time you pin, they will see it. Okay. You can then, if you decided to put some spend behind some advertising, you can target the audience that have already interacted and engaged with your pins. So say you had a board of chemical-free cleaning products, and you know that those 300-400 people have directly engaged with those pins around that topic over the last couple of weeks. You could run an ad campaign for as many, you know, a successful campaign only needs to be £10 a day. You know, so a 300, I know that can sound an awful lot to a small business, but £300 ad spend over a month, actually, if you are making triple that back, is absolutely worth it. And therefore you can engage with your warm audience in that sense. You give them more of what they want. Okay, and you're hooking them in, and ultimately you will want those people to sign up to your email list, so you can nurture them through weekly newsletters and get them to be part of your community, or get them to join that Facebook group so you can nurture them more.
Okay, so it's a bit like an attraction marketing type of situation. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that you probably have to think of your, you know, to be really effective with business, you've got to think of it as your sales funnel.
Yeah, yeah.
So Pinterest is the conduit, but what do you want them to do? So right, you've got their interest. What next?
I get it. Yeah,
what next? What next? Until actually they part with their money. Ultimately,
I think the great word you used there was sales funnel for me in my head, and then it just went ding 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 ding. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, and you can draw your Pinterest sales funnel, and you can do the difference also of Pinterest is that they don't mind pinners going off Pinterest. Facebook, Google, Instagram, they don't want you anywhere else other than on their site. Yeah. And any of you that have seen that documentary, I can't remember what it's called.
Social Dilemma.
You see. And even Pinterest made my toes curl for some of it. But the whole algorithm, everything about it is about keeping you there glued to it. Pinterest don't mind you leaving their site. They want you to be on it looking for things, but they don't mind you going off to somebody's website or Facebook group or wherever you're trying to get them to go. Okay.
Thank you, Philippa.
Philippa, can I ask you a question? A lot of what I do, because obviously the network is the thing that's important to me in supporting the members, is like I've got lists on Twitter that I check what members are posting so that I can retweet or comment on. Is there a similar sort of thing with Pinterest?
Yeah, I tell you, I was going to email you, Jill, an account for you to look at so that you
brilliant.
see that was similar to the Swib tribe or what you do. And I think that your ability to be able to spread your wings with your knowledge is immense.
Yeah.
because empowering women in business has been sorely, you know, it's been left a hole, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're filling that,
Yeah.
and you would have the opportunity to connect with other people. And I think that from my point of view, I think it's more powerful than Twitter. I think from that kind of senior management level within industry, the connections and networks that you can build in Twitter are still valuable.
Yeah.
But when, you know, I mean, can I do a hands up? How many people here actively use Twitter?
Oh. Oh, me and Julie then.
Yeah. So actually, you know, the women that you're, they're not there.
No.
So it's working out where actually your audience is, and I will send you a link to some organisations, Jill, for you to have a look at.
Brilliant. I've already screenshot that amazing infographic you did earlier and shared it. Are we okay to have your slides? Could you send me those to share with everybody?
Of course, I'll download them and send them over.
That's brilliant. Does anybody else have a particular question? Sarah, is that a question?
Yes, please.
Go ahead, over.
The question was, thank you, Philippa. That was absolutely brilliant. I've learned so much. Some of the other ladies, I've had a Pinterest account for years. I literally thought it was a social media, stick up a few things you like about nature and travel and whatever. Had no idea it was a search engine. And as you were saying for Nicola, I'm really excited to embrace this with you. And I'd love to have a session or whatever I need to do, because, you know, once again, my service would be perfect for this platform. So I'd really love to know more about it. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you, Sarah. And I have put in the chat my direct email address. Any of you that know Katie, of course, reach out to her as well. We're both one in the same. But what I will do after today is I'll email Jill the slides for all of you to have, but I'll also email a couple of your next steps that you could follow and what your options are should you wish to explore Pinterest further. But you have my email. I am more than happy to answer questions as well. So please don't hesitate to just reach out and get in touch.
Brilliant. Thank you, Philippa.